die! By Ace of Spades. Read by Nelcor. Humans were strange creatures, resilient to poisons, strong, with a lot of endurance, but also terribly fragile at times. Their skeletal structures were far from perfect. It was a wonder that they'd become the dominant species of their planet at all. Their languages were strange too. Their own human had a name that wouldn't quite translate into common. It was difficult to pronounce for the crewmates and too much trouble to translate properly. Instead, their human donned the name Technoblade for simplicity's sake. The first few cycles had been peaceful. Techno had informed the crew of humans' needs to have time alone in the dark, which they'd been more than happy to accommodate. The times when they were planet-side, Technoblade chose to remain on the ship unless something specific interested him, or there were other humans to talk with. But as the cycles went on, Technoblade's hair, which had been a vibrant pink when he had aborted, began to fade. His hair grew back brown, and in the shower, Phil had reported finding hairs caught in the drain. A quick browse of the human manual told them that hair loss was a sign of sickness, most commonly associated with something called cancer, an oftentimes fatal disease. Techno was getting sick of Wilbur constantly trying to run tests on him for research and documentation purposes. The alien was a terrible liar. Every time he lied, his skin would turn slightly green instead of the blue it usually was. "Wilbur, if you try to make me do another scan, I will eat all of your rations," Techno said when Wilbur walked into his room unannounced. Wilbur frowned. "We're worried about you, Technoblade. Tommy said that you're spending more time in the common area, and Phil's found your hair in the drain. Is there something wrong with me wanting to hang out with Tommy? I'll start cleaning the drain after I shower, don't worry." The three crewmates wouldn't stop hovering around Techno. Every time he tried to move more heavy cargo, one of them would try to help him. Tommy and Phil had fucking bird bones for Star's sake. They weren't supposed to help him. His job was to move the boxes, not theirs, and they knew it. "Tommy, if you try to touch that box, I'm taking your disc for a week," Techno snapped when Tommy tried to lift another heavy box that could and would crush his fragile bones. Tommy backed up, tears welled in his eyes, and he ran off. Techno set the box down and went after the youngest crew member. He knocked on the door to Tommy's room. "I'm sorry, Theseus, but you know you aren't supposed to lift the boxes. None of you are." Tommy opened the door and wiped his eyes with one of his wings. "Phil said you're sick and might not be able to lift them." "Sick? I'm not sick." "Your hair's dying." Techno blinked slowly. "Huh?" Tommy took a strand of Techno's hair and shoved it in his face. "It's turning brown at the end and coming out. The human manual said you have cancer." Everything made sense again. "Can you ask Wilbur and Phil to meet me in the common area? I need to find my tablet." Tommy nodded and went off to find them while Techno found his tablet and made several hasty edits and additions to the human manual. Wilbur and Phil sat on one of the sofas with Tommy, waiting for Techno to walk in and finally admit he was sick. Techno walked in and projected a page of the human manual on the wall. "I'm not dying, and I don't have cancer. My hair is pink because of hair dye. I bleach it until it's blonde and then put the dye in, which turns it that color. But over time, the color washes out. Hair will grow back whatever color it was before. In my case, that color is brown. Now stop lifting boxes and stop believing everything you read on the human manual. It's worse than Wikipedia." "But Techno, you contribute to it all the time." "Exactly.